Hi, this is Gary. Welcome to today's video. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm really busy. I'm always busy. Every time I turn around, I've got somebody there saying, Gary, can you do this for me? Gary, can you do this? I sit down at my desk and there's a whole load of emails saying, Gary, can you do this? It's really frustrating, isn't it? And you can feel it. As you're going through the day, you're getting more tired. You're getting more frustrated. It seems like all you're doing is spinning the wheel and you're getting nowhere. You go and you think, well, where can I get advice from? You look on the internet. Wow, isn't there an awful lot of sites there which tell you what to do? Do this method, use this, and it'll solve all your problems. You tried them. They don't. You look at courses. Yes, courses can be really good. I know when I looked at them, the nearest course to me was on the other side of the country, a 6-hour plane ride, and then it was a week course, so I've got my flight, I've got hotels, I've got this expensive course. I did that, came out of the course thinking, wow, they've taught me so much. Get back home, what do I find? I've lost a week whilst I was on the course, so I'm even further behind with the work I was doing. On the course, we only looked at case studies. I came out of there with no concrete plans. To me, it ended up being a waste of money because I didn't have the time and I didn't have the skills and knowledge to make the big changes they were saying that I should do. It was frustrating. What we're going to do in this video is take a quick look at I'm going to call it a system. It's not a system. It's a collection of things that you can try to improve your productivity. So join me now. We'll take a quick dive through these. So here we're talking about productivity. But what does productivity mean? Again, let's go and look on the internet. There's loads of different variations, isn't there? It seems everywhere you go, it's got something different. How I define productivity, it's making my life easier by getting the right things done at the right time. That's it. Nothing else, nothing to do with savings, nothing to do with systems. It's all about making my life better by doing the right things. But how do we do that? I know, that's the age-old question, isn't it? Well, I can't tell you. I can tell you what works for me. I can tell you about things that haven't worked for me, but may work for you. And this, to me, it's one of the key things with personal productivity. It's personal. What works for one person doesn't work for another. Prime example, I love lists. Everything I do, I make a list. I can tick things off. My wife, she hates them. She likes to keep everything in her head. That's fine. It works for her. Doesn't work for me. Similarly, my lists work for me, don't work for her. So we have to tune and pick the bits that we think will work for us and then start to use them. So this is all talking about, well, what can we do to make our lives easier? There's 4 things. We can either simplify things, we can automate them, we can come up with some checklists for things we do frequently, lists, I love them, and we want to make sure we're not constantly reinventing the wheel. What that means is let's see what's worked for other people, see how we can adapt it for ourselves, and don't try and come up with it from scratch. The key to all of this, though, is finding things that work for you. I cannot stress this enough. No one solution will meet everybody's needs. There's lots of solutions, and they'll tell you the only way this works, well, you've got to go all in. In part, this is correct. Yes, you've got to start using a solution, but can you go all in? Is it so different from the way you're working that you're not going to get anything done? Are you going to spend ages moving to the new system and find it doesn't actually help? What I say to people, do not go for these big all-in solutions. You'll find they don't work. Yes, for a few people they will. Vast majority of us, they don't. What you need to be doing is looking at making lots of small changes. Because a small change, it's easy to do, and they soon add up. If you change one thing every day, at the end of the month, you're going to have changed 30 things. That's 30 opportunities for improvement. Now, again, saying this, yes, it's easy to make all these changes. It's hard to keep them up. And that's where I want to help you. what I've done is I've come up with, I'm going to call it a system. It's not, it's really a set of processes which will help. The beauty of this is the top level, that's the same for everybody, but how you do each individual step, you tailor that to your own specific needs. So these areas, the first one is collect. This is where you get things into your system. Doesn't matter where they come from. It could be on your phone. I can't show you my phone because I'm actually using that to record. To me, one of the best tools for productivity, Post-it notes. I've got a large, I've got small. The large one's okay for big thoughts. The small one, if it's just a single word I want to record, I use that. If I'm out and about, I always carry with me this notebook and this pen. So wherever I am, I can very quickly jot down any thoughts I have. But remember, that's not the only place that things come up. Just take a look in your everyday life. You've got messages, you've got messenger apps, you've got emails, you've got social media posts which may pique your interest, you've got various web pages, you've got your task management tools, you've got things coming in from all over the place. And if you're like I used to be, that would soon add up and you'd end up with a pile of unprocessed things. So the first step, it's about collecting. Step number 2. I call this think. This is where you're going through all those items that you've collected and you're thinking about them. Now, this thinking process might only take a couple of seconds. For some things, it may be a bit more involved. But this is about making sure that you understand what the item is and then starting to break that down into things that you need. So, say you're going to be doing a building project. So as part of think, you're going to then look at it and say, right, what do I need for this project to be successful? So if you're going to build a door, you need to have wood, you need to have hinges, you need to have screws. It's pointless starting to build the door until you've got everything that you need. And this is where you think. So you're spending that little bit of time to fully understand what it is you're doing. From think, we move to plan. So you now understand what it is you want to do, and you're going to then start breaking this down into discrete steps that you can achieve. A really good simple example for this. If you're going to make a cup of tea, and I know if we say that, everybody knows what to do, but if you think about it, there's a whole load of steps that you need to achieve first. You need to put water into your kettle. You need to put the kettle on to boil. You need to get a cup. Put your tea bag in the cup or tea bag in the pot or even tea leaves, depends on your personal preference. You need to then, when the kettle's boiled, pour the water in. You need to leave it to steep. There's a whole load of steps you need to take. And this is where plan comes in. Plan what you need to do. Work out what can be done. Do you actually need to do it? Is it something you can delegate? And then put it into an order that needs to be done. Pointless putting the water into your teapot before you've boiled your kettle, isn't it? We've now got a plan. Action. This is the next step. This is doing it. This is the key part, really. Not so. To be honest, action should be one of the simplest steps because you've already done all the thinking, all the planning. All action is using your skills to actually do it. When you finished action, we then review. This is a step that I've got to be honest, a lot of people miss out. Think about what you've done. What went well? What went bad? What can you do different? By reviewing what you've done, then you record it, and then you pass the results of that into collect because you want to make sure you're learning and capturing what's gone wrong because you want capturing any changes that you need to make when you do this again in the future. In the middle of all this, and to me, it's one of the key pieces, and one, myself included, that we often don't bother with, is accountability. Ideally, this should be using somebody independent to you. The idea with accountability, you've got somebody saying to you, why are you doing it that way? Is that the best way to do it? Why don't you try this? Why did you miss that deadline? They're challenging what's going on to help you to focus and to achieve the end result. Now, yes, I know I've only very quickly touched on each of these steps. What we'll be doing over the next few videos is looking in more detail at each of these steps. So there'll be one video about each step. After that, I'll then start looking at techniques that you can use to help you to achieve these. And I'll cover a lot of different techniques, some that they work well for me, some I've tried and they haven't worked very well for me, but they may work well for someone else. As I said, it's all about what works for you and finding that and doing that. By looking at these in individual videos, this is the idea of small changes. Everything we do, it's about making one small change. Not putting in place a brand new system, making one small change to what you're already doing and will make an improvement in your life. I hope you found this video useful. Are there any topics that you'd like me to cover? Are there any areas you'd like me to dig into first? Please drop a comment down below. Let's kickstart the conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, well, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.